Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 4 of the Monday Q&A. So let's get to the first question. Or would that be the 10th question? Whatever. Jason, do you think training for power and strength past the age of 40 is worth it? Yes, absolutely. In fact, I will be competing in powerlifting well into my 40s, hopefully. I think it's absolutely worth it. You just need to take better care of things like your connective tissue and joints, take deloads more seriously, and for some guys consider a little bit of growth hormone. But that aside, it can absolutely be beneficial. Strength training is probably better for you at an older age than doing traditional bodybuilding work is, because it's going to give you better longevity with connective tissue, bone density, things of that nature. I would actually recommend it for the most part for people whose goals are more longevity and fitness oriented than you would think of as normal bodybuilding training. All right, next question. How do I avoid fatigue, tiredness on a cut when I primarily reduce carbs when cutting? Yeah, it goes back to a problem you run into. Lowering carbs for an athlete doesn't work for athletic people. It's problematic. It makes you tired. It makes you lethargic. It hurts your performance. Cut slower. That's all you can do. Find a way to keep more carbs in your diet and cut more slowly. Then don't use as large of a caloric deficit. Take your time with it. If you're not in bodybuilding contest prep and trying to get ultra lean, which, as I've covered over and over, you shouldn't be if you're not a bodybuilder or a physique competitor or a model, then take your time cutting. Why is there a rush? Do it more slowly. Lose a pound a month. Then you won't feel tired and fatigued. So it's a question of you're playing a game of give and take. If you want faster results on something like that, you're going to pay a higher price for it. It's going to cost you less personally in terms of performance, strength, energy, mood if you just take your time with it and do it more slowly. So it's a matter of what you're willing to accept. So I would recommend your solution is to just cut more slowly and eat more carbs. All right, next question. What would be the pros and cons of switching from a touch and go bench to a pause bench? All right, pretty simple. Usually your touch and go bench is going to build more delts and more triceps. Pause bench is going to build a little more pec for you. So you're going to get a better chest as part of it. You're going to build more explosive power because you're having to press from a dead stop and you're having to engage the pecs more. But it's going to look less impressive. You can move more weight with touch and go bench. So that's really what it comes down to. It depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to use the bench press is primarily a good tricep and anterior delt builder, then by all means touch and go. If you're trying to use it to build your chest up, you really want to pause bench. And if you're using it to get better at bench pressing at a meet legal, you're going to want to pause bench. If you're using it to build more explosiveness and starting strength for some sort of sport on the field or contact sport, you're probably going to want to do the pause bench. So it just ultimately comes down to what you're trying to do. I recommend for most people doing pause bench, specifically because most people who are bench pressing are either benching to get better at the bench press for meets, or they're trying to build their chest up with a secondary focus on all the secondary movers. Now we could argue for some people who are very chest dominant, the other muscles are weaker and smaller. Instead of them going to a touch and go bench, they could just do other work for those muscles. I could just as easily, rather than recommend a touch and go bench for someone whose triceps are lagging, but their pecs are really big, is to just go to a close grip bench press for a while. Or I could recommend they just do more tricep work. So generally for me, other than for certain types of speed work and things, I don't really place a lot of value on touch and go benching. I just don't think for overall development or the reasons most people bench press that it's really the way to go. Alright guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys in part 5.